You guys have okay, what'd I miss?
Nothing, man.
Some shuffling. Gonna try and find old Zensky's list.
Should be the last one in there. There it is.
Okay, we are on. Round 3, we have Battle of the 2-0s. Zach Sent on Blue Red Delver against Jesse Adams, the Buckeye City champion, the Avondale City champion on Naya Lands. Let's focus a little bit on this Naya Lands list. He actually has it named Karn Lands, 4 Exploration, 4 Mox Diamond, very typical land stuff. He's not running the hotness that is Dark Depths Thespian Stage, but he is running 4 Karn the Great Creator. In addition to that, 0 Life from Maloms, but 4 Ronomap Excavators, 1 Crucible Worlds, 3 Tireless Trackers, in addition to Swords to Plowshares and Punishing Fires to finish up the list. His sideboard does have the most important Myosynth Lattice to lock up the game, and then a plethora of little wish targets for the Karn. Zent is going to be playing a different variation of the Blue-Red Delver, like we said before. 4 Delvers, 4 Arcanists, 4 Pyromancers, 2 True Names. No Terramanders, and this is going to be the list from Koyusho Tomoya. So, I'm guessing a Japanese player.
Yeah, this is they hold like a once a month like God of Legacy or something like that name, Legacy Master Tournament, and this one recently took, I think it was first place, or it definitely put 2 copies, the exact same list, into top 8.
So this is probably the current hotness. Zach's going to lead off Island Ponder. And Jesse has the Exploration, which Zent has the Daze for. Exploration probably being the most important card in any lands deck. And that allows them to just do more land things than anybody else. Especially if you're, not for Jesse, but if you're porting and wastelanding, being able to play another land to increase your board state while holding back the opponent. Zent is gonna need to find a threat that doesn't die to Punishing Fires, which coincidentally the Arcanist doesn't.
Yes.
But finding his True Name Nemesis is going to be the most important.
Yeah, True Name Nemesis is huge here, as well as the Dreadhorde Arcanist. We should see, Jesse's going to be relying on cards like Swords to Plowshares to keep the blue-red Delver player under control. And especially, he does have 4 copies of Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. That card's huge in this matchup too, because the Delver deck does really rely on having a limited number of lands and making the most out of those lands. So if you tax them on mana, sometimes it's just a little over the top. And here we do see Dreadhorde Arcanist come down on turn 3 for Zach. Let's see how this card plays out for the rest of the matchup, because it does look like he has a Ponder in the yard already, so the stage is set for this card to be a real beating already.
So Jesse needs the Swords to Plowshares. I think that's his only real answer to the Arcanist. So, and he has the blocker.
There's Ramunap Excavator.
Well, the green Crucible World's on legs. It's a 2/3, so I believe Zent has a Lightning Bolt. So this shouldn't be an issue for much longer. Zach is going to have to find a clock while Jesse's kind of spinning his wheels. The weakness of these random lands decks, especially the ones that vary away from just the straight red-green version, is that they can get caught kind of doing nothing. You know, they dirtle really hard. And with Zent doing things like just going straight to the face with that Lightning Bolt, it's just going to increase the chances that Jesse's just going to dirtle, spin his wheels, not really get much accomplished. They have a Ghost Quarter, which is not very good against the blue-red Delver deck.
Is that a copy of Punishing Fire in Jesse's hand that I see? Yeah, it looks like that red card in the back is a Punishing Fire.
Yeah, it looks like the newer art, and here's the Thalia. That would have been the one problem with Zent playing that Lightning Bolt straight to face, is that keeping it around for an additional creature control would have been pretty good, especially since the Arcanist can attack into a Thalia.
He drew a Chain Lightning for the turn too, so this is really... He's really flexing the muscles of the Dreadhorde Arcanist now. I think he's going to play a Young Pyromancer, and then the Arcanist trigger with this Ponder is going to create... Or no, he's actually got a Brainstorm. That might even be better. Nope, Ponder. So Ponder finds another Lightning Bolt. So... yeah, he's really putting the test to Jesse here. He's presenting a large amount of damage in a very, very short amount of time.
Thank you very much.
Oh wow, a second Young Pyromancer comes down to his 4 threats, and Jesse's deck is just not equipped to deal with a large amount of creatures. He does have the Punishing Fire in the deck, but without the Grove of the Burn Willows, it's just going to be kind of a one-note thing.
I mean, there is a Tireless Tracker, which is a big deal. We know Zent has the Chain Lightning, though.
Yeah.
Which will make quick work of the Tireless Tracker, and there that is. I mean, yeah, as a longtime lands player and pretty much every green XX combination of spells with Crucible Worlds and Life from Moments and all that stuff, like someone just getting below you while you don't draw what you need is such a big problem. It's how you beat the 4-color lands deck. It's the reason why I play straight green-red lands right now. It's that you just need to be as consistent as possible with your mana base and with what you're doing. Jesse kind of being all over the place makes it really difficult when a deck like Blue-Red Delver just gets underneath what you're trying to do, then you can't catch up.
Yeah, which is the whole point of Blue-Red Delver, is to get under something like that. So as far as the sideboard for Jesse, I think you see the chokes come in. I do also think you see the Walking Ballistas. I think Walking Ballista has a lot of value, especially if a card like Exploration doesn't get countered in the first turn. Like, you can really pump out a 2/2 or a 3/3 Walking Ballista really quick, which is a good check, A, to something like the Dreadhorde Arcanist, and B, also to prevent Young Pyromancer from taking over the game.
And then Zent does have... He is, with Jesse's list being so unorthodox, like, traditionally you'd want to bring in, like, surgical extractions and stuff like that, and that might still be the correct move. Bring in the surgicals. He's not running any non-basic land hate, which would be amazing, but he does have like Shattering Spree if the Mox Diamonds get out of hand. Shattering Spree, strangely enough, would also be really good if there's a Myosynth Lattice in play. And with the Karn, you can float as much red mana as you want, and then Shattering Spree away the world.
Isn't Shattering Spree a sorcery?
Is Shattering Spree sorcery? Shattering Spree might be sorcery.
I'm pretty
that
sure.
That might ruin my plan, but I wish it wasn't. A Braid isn't. I could see a Braid coming in if Zent knows he has the big artifact heavy plan.
Yeah, because as it stands right now, I don't think, other than Zach talking to Jesse about what he was doing, I don't think that.
Don't read what I'm not typing. Keep talking.
I don't think that you can. I don't think you can know that he's on something like the Karn. So having something like the Abrade come in is just because a card like Mox Diamond is so good. Having an extra answer for something like Thalia or Tireless Tracker, I think the card's good enough to warrant bringing in. No, I think the stream, you can type like !card and then type the card that you want to know, and it'll read it to you.
But I'm asking chat.
Oh, okay.
See, it's called chat involvement here. Black Armchair now has answered. He is involved. Every time I type, Jim stops talking. So if Jim ever violently stops talking mid-sentence, it's because I'm typing something, and his brain can't process typing and reading what I'm typing at the same, or talking and reading what I'm typing at the same time. I have to like tilt the laptop away from him.
None of that is false. all of that is actually true.
Yeah, so Naya Lands, interesting.
I wish we got to see more of what he was actually doing, but Zach just kind of punished him for having fun.
Let's see what I get.
Oh, he's got a terrible which that's a Jesse Adams special. The Terravore is he pretty much plays one of it in any list that he can. I'm not reading what he's typing. I'm just taking a drink.
I'm trying to give you guys a visual of what Jesse's playing. There you go. For you guys. Oh, I even put spaces in there and it didn't. So back to here, we have a lot of fetch lands on the table. Zent breaks the fetch land parity with the straight volcanic. Jesse does not have a fast start, but he does appear to have at least one Swords to Plowshares. He does the double fetch for the green-white to play around Wasteland. That's definitely habits from his years playing Maverick. The man does have a Knight of the Reliquary tattooed on his arm. Like we said, he is the the Avondale City champion with a similar green-white lands Chalice of the Void conglomerate. This does not have the Chalice of the Void in it, so it's definitely a little more aimed towards fair matchups. We have chat talking about the upcoming Planeswalker, Ren and 6, red and a green, does everything lands players want. I know I'm super hyped to play it in red-green lands. I know that I have some friends super hyped about it in aggro loam, probably replacing the Life from a Loam, so it'd actually be just aggro, Ren, and 6. And that Life from a Loam is such a strange card in a deck such as aggro loam when it doesn't play as many of the land targets that it wants to have. Jesse's slowing the game down with the Richard Import. And Zent trying to find a thread. He does have plenty of lands. He bolts straight to the face. Interesting show of aggression. And he's going to wasteland the Richard Import off the top.
So do you think that was just for mana efficiency that he did that? Like, he was getting ported, so he just bolted them in response? Is that...
I mean, I think that is a very real thing. We do see that Jesse has the choke in his hand, which does have potential to be game-ending at this point. Especially with another bolt coming out. Especially with Zent being a little bit light on lands here. With the port pressure. Jesse prioritizing port over choke, probably just waiting for a great time to land it and really just lock the blue-red player out of the game. As for the choke, last I checked, blue-red has no answers to the card.
No, that is the one thing about the blue-red list, that you are super, super tight against a card like choke or something that, basically any enchantment. The colors don't deal with enchantments very well. You either counter it or you can get locked out. But I'm super interested in what's going on right now because Zach is aggressively fetching Volcanic Islands. Now, does he have the read that Jesse doesn't have a card like Life from the Loam? But like he's playing 4 Ramunap Excavators in the main. So if Jesse just goes like Ramunap Excavator Wasteland you, like that game gets bad in a very quick fashion.
I know last round he also did see the Ghost Quarter and multiple Ghost Quarters, so I think you could also be playing around the 4 Ghost Quarters that Jesse does have in this list. So I mean, it's 4 Ghost Quarters, 4 Wastelands, so it's really, you play around the Wasteland, the Ghost Quarters, there's nothing you can do. You play around that, around the Ghost Quarter, there's nothing you can do.
Here's the
you
choke.
Can't really play around the choke though. So Zent looks at his hand, he says it's fine, and his lands don't untap. And there was the true name Nemesis. So the Arcanist does get to attack and is attacking for 4, or he's going to brainstorm. I was going to say he would be attacking for 4 at this point. Such a big choke. Yeah, such a big choke, and we know Zach really just needed one more turn to resolve that true name Nemesis to really change the game around. He does have Surgical in his hand, so he can keep the game going for quite a bit longer, strange enough. Jesse hasn't.
I mean, we do know that he has something like Swords to Plowshares in his hand, so he does have the check for the Dreadhorde Arcanist. But the one interesting interaction that we're going to see here is that Zach still has a card like Daze in his main deck, so he's going to be able to basically turn his lands into Lotus Petals by dazing. So he may still daze this spell just to get a land back. He doesn't.
I can see how that's being interesting, because getting to 3 right now is very important.
Yeah.
Like getting to 3 and resolving that True Name Nemesis, and then just hoping to ride it 4 attacks to the end.
Yeah, I mean, if this is something like oh,
there's the Jesse Adams.
The Jesse Adams signature spice.
The 60 for card 61.
That card is huge.
I mean, I think it's only a 4/4 Trampler right now. 5/5 Trampler.
5/5 Trampler with 2 fetch lands in play.
That does promise to answer the game pretty quickly. You think that he'd want to daze that just to get the land back? If he has the daze. I don't know if he has the daze. The world says it's a 6/6. The world says it's a 7/7. Choke still being the defining card in this matchup. Goes and gets the basic mountain. What can Zach do here? I don't think he has any bounce for the choke. I don't think he has an out for the Terravor. Looking at his list, he could have brought in Vapor Snags, bounce the Terravor, get another turn. other than that, I'm not seeing much. I mean, Jesse is at 11, so there is still... that choke's just backbreaking in this instance. He really needed to resolve the True Name Nemesis before the choke landed.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're going to see a pretty quick scooping out of the cards, especially because he's searching for lands, but Terravor is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And a Lotus Petal hits the table.
I do appreciate the basic lands out of Zach, a man of good taste. There's a young Pyromancer and a Surgical, so we have a token coming on the way. See, this would be great if this was a Knight of the Reliquary, because at least then it could block forever.
So that's a...
But that is a
7/7.
Trampler.
So it's a 3-turn clock against what could potentially be a 3-turn clock. But if Zent draws a Lightning Bolt, it's 3/6. Zent can race with Lightning Bolts or Chain Lightnings.
Well, I mean, a Lightning Bolt turns it into a 2-turn clock because of the extra elemental token. So that's another thing that is kind of interesting. But
that's now a 9. So Jesse Adams also has a 2-turn clock.
Yep.
And Jesse's going to get to attack first. So he has one Lightning Bolt, though, so he can't go runner, right?
I mean, he doesn't have a land in his hand. So basically what needs to happen is...
He needs to be able to daze something.
He needs to be able to daze something. We're ghost quartering.
That could be really good. That could be game. That could be game ending right there.
Okay, that's part one.
That's part one. Zach has.
It's part one of the runner plan that we have going in for Zach.
No, is it run? It's not even runner anymore, is it?
No, it's just single runner now because he just needs to draw the Vapor Snag.
You need to get him. Yeah, there's the land for the Vapor Snag.
I believe that his hand is Bolt and Daze. So if his hand is Bolt and Daze, then he only needs the Vapor Snag, and then the clock is very far back into his favor.
Well, it's pretty much Vapor Snag. Did you bring in the Vapor Snag or bust? Counting life totals, counting things.
Is that a Spell Snare?
Oh, Richard Import got. Zach's learning about Trample. Richard Import got.
Learning about the keyword Trample.
Down to 6. Oh, and it looks like that might be it. So I think the correct play would have been mountain, get the mountain, bolt end of turn, take him to 8.
I think he only plays one basic mountain. I'm fairly certain that this Delver list only plays one basic mountain.
That would be a problem. Yes, then my plan might not have worked there. Okay. Cheat. Get a mountain. Anyway, sideboard, who knows?
Anthony, talk to me about the card Terravor. I want to talk about Terravor so badly, and I don't want to insult the card because, as you just saw, it is extremely powerful in a very soft set of circumstances, but I just can't ever imagine casting a card like that.
The card Terravor is specifically just outclassed by better cards, so it's not like the card isn't good. It's just that it's just not good enough anymore. Once Knight of the Reliquary was printed, and just a lot of the more efficient, bigger beaters. For 3 mana, you can base, with True Name Nemesis existing, especially, you can get something completely removal proof. With Tireless Tracker, you can get
card advantage and a threat.
With Knight of the Reliquary, you can wasteland them 6 times, and Knight of the Reliquary is huge. Terravor just doesn't do a whole lot. It is just very good at being enormous late game.
Yeah.
That's basically it. You will get a lot of free. It's one of those cards that you'll never say Terravor lost me the game, but you always remember when it was enormous and won you the game. because it just doesn't do anything else except win you the game. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have a lot of lands in your graveyard, you don't play it, and you never associate negative value to the card. So it's the textbook definition of like a pet card.
Because like for me, like when I'm looking at a card like that, like I'm looking at it in terms of like a win more card. Like when you have established a game plan for like that long, like any card would win the game. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're already like wastelanding your opponent, porting your opponent, have 6 lands in your graveyard, like you've already done what your deck is supposed to do. So like yes, Terravor ends the game very, very quickly, but I still don't think it has enough value as a card itself to warrant playing it over something like a Tireless Tracker or like a Knight of the Reliquary. I just feel like when a card like that is in your deck, it's just because you like it, not. And again, that's exactly what you said about it being a pet card. But you know, I think at a high level, you would just see the better cards come out more of the time.
Yeah, and you would like to see the better cards. And then I know Terravor really fell out of favor when the graveyard raid of choice was Rest in Peace and Relic of Progenitus, because both of those cards actually just kill Terravor.
Yes.
So as a one of in a lands list, like it's fine. He's not playing any way to go get it at this point. He usually plays quite a few Green Sun Zeniths. So just drawing it as the 61st card, we could say it's probably wrong, but it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, as you saw there, like everybody saw the power level of it. Like Zach presented
in
a decent
very
board.
specific situations.
Yeah, like you again, like had that been a Knight of the Reliquary, that game might have gone on 3 to 4 more turns, and Zach might have been able to draw out of it, like we said.
I mean, if that was a Knight of the Reliquary, then the Knight of the Reliquary would have just started fetching up Wastelands, and Zach would have never cast another spell again. So the game.
I am disappointed that we have not seen Karn yet.
There is no Karn, and this might be a matchup he sides Karn out. I guess with the Karn board, you kind of have to leave Karn in all matchups, but a 4-mana Planeswalker against an aggressive deck like Blue Delver with bolts and everything else that Blue Delver can do.
We drew a Karn.
Karn isn't that good.
Karn was the first card drawn out of his hand.
With these
ask and you shall receive.
With these random lands decks, and just like the random decks, a lot of the tier 3 brews, like the Nick Fits and I'm just trying to think of, the junk players, all the non-blue crazy decks, or like the punishing deck, stuff like that. If they get going, they're gonna beat the hell out of a deck like Blue Red Delver. Much like the Rug Delver decks of old, they could, top 8 1,000-man Legacy tournament, but could lose to the standard control deck of the time, just because the card's power levels, the Delver decks are so tuned. If he can get in, if he can get under what Jesse's trying to do, he's going to have an easy game, and Jesse's not really going to play Magic. But if Jesse gets to establish a huge mana base, gets to tap his lands a bunch of times, really slow the game down to a crawl, then Jesse's going to start playing things like the Terravor we saw, like the Tireless Tracker, like the Karn, and Zach's deck just really doesn't line up with that. So Zach needs to be as aggressive as possible.
This is going to be super interesting. Jesse has 2 Mox Diamonds in his opener. We could see a turn 2 Karn the Great Creator this game. Like, that is a real thing that might be happening.
I mean, I don't think that would be the best way. Like, he should play that Random Excavator first.
Oh, for sure. We're definitely going to see that, but, like, that's the thing. Like, a card like that, be like, okay, here's my threat. Force a will it, right? Because that's what he's going to do. Oh, he's going to
tap it.
Okay. He's going to
slowing the game down for Jesse is much more important than trying to resolve a threat and walking into a daze. And that's what you have to remember. As the non-lance player, like, walking into a daze when the opponent literally has nothing going on feels really bad. And
we now have 2 Karns in our hand. So, I mean, at this point, you definitely just slam jam the Excavator, right?
Yeah, I think you play the Excavator around the days, and then try to play Karn on 5 around the days. Like the double Mox Diamond was a really big deal.
Okay.
He's gonna go straight into Karn.
And that's going to eat a Force of Will. That is huge. That is huge.
Well, especially when we know he has the second Karn. There's Pyromancer. Pretty good answer to Karn, strangely enough.
Yep.
Looking at what Karn can get outside of the Myosynth Lattice, the Walking Ballista is going to be a thing if he didn't bring them in. But other than that, this young Pyromancer is a big deal.
So here's the thing, though. Jesse's got 2 cards in his hand. He draws for turn, plays a land, plays Karn, goes, gets Ensnaring Bridge with 1 card in his hand. Ensnaring Bridge might be able to lock out Zach.
Might be able to. And that's going back to if Zach brought in Artifact and Enchantment Hate. I mean, but Jesse is going to get time walked essentially to just play this Karn. Like he doesn't actually do anything when he plays Karn.
I think here you play the Excavator. I've been wrong every time. This is why I play blue.
Excavator's good, but the Excavator doesn't actually do anything except recur that Horizon Canopy, so the Excavator is probably the correct late game play.
So I think from here you just get the Ensnaring Bridge.
There it is, yeah. It's the only thing you can really get.
Yeah, because the lattice does nothing because he's going to kill he's got a bolt in his hand. He's going to kill the Karn.
He's going to kill the Karn. He's going to play the Excavator, then sit behind the Excavator drawing cards with the Horizon Canopy.
Yes.
So that will kill the Karn. We just learned that local legend Jim Dudek is in fact 1-2 with his Infect deck. That was the first match we played. So here he's looking for an answer to that Ensnaring Bridge. He does find a Spell Pierce, which will not be good enough.
He needs to have... It has to be a hard counter, because Jesse has kind of built up a legitimate board state of lands at this point.
But not, I mean, Zen still has out. I believe Zen has the Ancient Grudge. Or he still has the Shattering Spree and the Abrade, if he can find them.
Yeah, if he can find them, if he sided them in. We still, that's a big advantage for Jesse, is he didn't see Karn in the first 2 games. He didn't see an artifact in the first 2 games. So there could be something to the effect of he didn't side them in because he just didn't see it as an actual necessity. Now, do we think that Zach had the read on it? There's potential, because a lot of these decks do play Mox Diamond, so you might get in some kind of just incremental value out of a card like Shattering Spree, just to wasteland you, hitting your Mox Diamonds. So that's something that could be. But again, here we're seeing it.
Jesse also has to play cards out of his hand. I don't necessarily know.
He's going to play the Excavator,
which would let him play another land.
But that's bad, because then he's walking into that potential
right
Spell
into
Pierce.
Spell Pierce. This might be a big deal. Jim.
Hold me.
Jim Chinese. We might be watching.
Hold me.
A big deal happen right here. There it is. Did he keep the Spell Pierce?
Oh, wow. It doesn't look like he did.
He didn't keep the Spell Pierce
Oh, man. That is huge.
He kept the Spell Pierce.
Might be the second card.
He didn't keep the Spell Pierce. He kept the Delver instead. 2, 3. I mean, he still has a 1, 2, 3. Isn't Delver a May?
Delver is, in fact, a May. You don't have to reveal the card. You can effectively miss the trigger.
So Jesse's still kind of in trouble. He doesn't really have a whole lot going on. Just playing off the top of his library, which he still does play a lot of bombs. There's the expiration.
There's a ghost quarter.
There's Ghost Quarter.
We're hellbent.
We are hellbent with 0 cards, no attackers. So now we are looking for the Shattering Spree.
Shattering Spree would be huge here.
Mox.
Mox, and Snaring Bridge.
Mox and Snaring Bridge.
The best Stone Rain you've ever seen.
Ooh. Can you find it? We're looking for it.
That's the problem. Like, you know, as good as this Ensnaring Bridge is, we still need a threat. Like, we still need a way to win the game.
Isn't really overloading.
Another port.
So now we've got the double port plan.
Well, Zach, you're never casting that.
And there's the Force of Will. There's the Thalia. Still not much. Don't even know the surgical?
I didn't see what that card was. It looked like a black card. To be honest, it looked like a Gurmag Angler, but I know he's not playing that, so...
Value number 2.
Gotta play it.
Gotta play it. Dread Horde. You gotta just go land Dread Horde, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever stutter, if Jesse ever stutters and has a card that he can't cast...
There's swords. So Jesse hiding behind Ensnaring Bridge.
We are settled in for a long, boring game of Magic.
Does he draw? It's Shattering Spree and a Braid. It's Shattering Spree or a Braid if he brought them in. That's all.
Man, if we see a Shattering Spree off the top, the crowd is going to go wild.
Let's hear it.
That was a red card.
It's a red card.
I think that was a Braid.
A Braid would be very good.
I think that was a Braid, dude. Oh, here it is.
Here
Yep.
it is. He's cracking for the third land.
Man, this game is sick.
So how much damage is he taking right now? That's 3, 4, 5.
We're getting 2
6,
more
7.
tokens.
So he's hitting him for 8.
Well, like, Jesse still has the Thalia.
Yeah.
So he's probably not gonna.
I counted that.
Yeah, but he's probably not gonna attack with the 2 young pyros.
You definitely attack with both young pyros.
There it is. Boom. Jesse is shook.
Jesse hiding behind his wall. No more. There's 2 young. See, I think you just go. You just go in. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
No respect. Just get there. Take 8. Go to 5.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Jesse's at 5, so that's a thing. How do you feel about this being the first interesting game of Magic we've watched today?
I'm so happy about it.
Not only is it not even a match, just a game. We haven't really seen a game of Magic
Thalia
yet.
number 3. Jesse Adams scoops him up. Great game. A Braid off the top. Zach Sent moving into the 3-0 bracket. Jesse takes his first loss for the day. And we will see you in round 4.